That name, where did it start? Talk to us.
I think I came up with it.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Yeah.
Welcome to Season 2 of Alter Ego Podcast. I'm your host, Laura Grego. Today's guests are husband and wife and co-owners, Jason and Lauren of Curio Art Studio located in Zillionople, Pennsylvania. Curio was a vision years before it became a reality, as Jason often looked for a space to occupy in Bellevue and Avalon, where the couple's first house was located. Curio was originally located on a side street in Zillionople, and after 2 years outgrew its space and is now on Main Street, right next to the Strand Theater. Jason has been a public school art educator in Butler County for 32 years, teaching both elementary as well as secondary levels. He currently teaches at the Intermediate High School for the Seneca Valley School District. As an exhibiting artist, Jason has been part of group and solo shows for the past 25 years, both locally and regionally. His art has been shown at Boxheart Gallery, Moxie Dada Gallery, JMS Gallery, the Butler Art Center, and in conjunction with the Bodies exhibit at both the Carnegie Science Center and the Whitaker Center for Science and Art in Harrisburg. His work has been purchased by UPMC, the Eaton Corporation, and private collectors. You can see his largest painting, a unique and dynamic take on Sophia Loren, installed on the side of the Delaterre restaurant in Zillionople. Jason has always been interested in exhibiting artwork and found he had a real knack for it in 1993 when he worked as the gallery technician for IUP's Kip Gallery. He also started a gallery inside of Seneca Valley's Intermediate High School, where both student and professional art has been exhibited for over 20 years. Icon Fine Art Gallery is the next progression of his love for art and dedication to connecting art with the community. Lauren is a lifelong resident of Zillionople and a proud member of the community. She is also a former public school art educator who worked for 10 years in the Butler County School District. While teaching at Butler, she facilitated art education at multiple elementary schools within the district. During this time, she also started a side business that would ultimately lead to an integral part of the development of Curio, where she would travel to event spaces, private residences, and other locations to teach group painting classes. She decided to leave teaching in 2020 during the COVID pandemic to focus on art education through Curio Art Studio. This move allowed her to be at home with their children while they were conducting school remotely. Lauren has taken the reins of day-to-day operations at Curio, as well as being the driving force behind almost every aspect of the studio, including art education, the pottery program, drop-in studio times, retail, and anything else needed to keep the business thriving for the community. Lauren has also become prominent in Zillionople's revitalization as she holds a position on the Board of Business Association and has painted murals in both the Uma Boutique and Shoe Brew. Lauren and Jason will be working together to bring fine art to the community and their new space, just a few doors down from Curio, Icon Fine Art Gallery. While continuing to offer the quality art education and art experiences Curio Art Studios has become known for. Welcome, Lauren and Jason.
Well, I guess it came out of the idea of basically curious, and also combined with the idea of a curio cabinet having, different collectibles and things in it. And so it really, we had vintage toys and nostalgic collectibles and things like that along with the art in the very, very genesis of Curio. So that's where the name came from.
Yeah, it was great because it encompassed all that there was, that you'd be curious to come in and find what was new and different there, purchasing something that you enjoyed and wanted to display that might be in a curio cabinet. And then even as things have changed and we've moved forward, I think it still encapsulates our idea of wanting a curious art maker, somebody to come in and see what they can find to create and kind of continue that curiosity of creativity too.
I love that. Curious was one of the things, but curio cabinet, that was something that kind of popped in my head. I didn't even know that. So it's very creative.
Thanks.
We're a lot of C words.
Yes.
I was like tumbling over my mouth for a second, even though I have to speak. I'm oftentimes find myself tongue-tied. So your individual backgrounds obviously just blended together very well. And that was something that brought you two together as a couple. And what I love about this conversation, I've had a couple conversations recently with couples who run businesses together. So how long has this been here and how long have you been married?
Let's see. So we've been married. We always joke about this because we always have to ask your mom. But I think it's 13 years.
Yes. Yeah.
And we've been around as Curio for 8. So yeah, originally we were on a side street up from Della, and that was the old location of the boutique 16063, which is now Uma. So they were there previous, and then we moved into that spot, and we were there for 2 years.
Yeah, so we've been in this location for 5 now.
Yeah.
And more to come, but we'll get into that
Yes.
later on. So this atmosphere, one of the things I love when I first walk in here, obviously, is you have right to the right when you first enter, is you have all these amazing, would you call them souvenirs or art pieces, or I don't know, what would you call that little area where you sell all of you've got really cool magnets over there. I just bought a magnet that has a pierogi and a pickle, and it says love is love. I'm obsessed. So that I'm excited about, and a dinosaur sticker. So just talk to me about that little area inside when you first walk in.
Yeah, it stemmed from Jason having a love of vintage toys, and then our idea of also wanting to bring art classes and fine art into the mix. And we felt like we needed something to kind of bridge the gap between those separate entities. So we thought the best thing to do would be to have this area where different artisans and makers can have items that they create brought into our space. So it's still, we used to have much more of it, but then we've pared it down a little bit. So it's kind of our little boutique niche kind of handmade section still.
Yeah, we started incorporating some of the cool stuff you find when you go to like the Andy Warhol Museum or the Carnegie Museum of Art, like the gift shop, and then having some art related things there as well. Because I know as a teacher, when I take students to the museums, they'll spend like half their time in the gift shop if you don't chase them out.
Yeah.
So kind of having a few things like that aren't handmade. But a lot of the things that we have in our retail section are from local artisans.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's one of the things I love about this space is like how supportive you are of local artists and featuring all of that. And that's something that's one of my favorite things. When I get to the end of the museum, I'm like, I know I'd probably never own like a giant painting by a famous artist, but maybe I can buy this mug that has something on it that every time I drink out of it, I'm like,
a souvenir.
Yes, a souvenir. And it makes you feel good, right? So, it's not just the shop, right? It is an experience. And there's so many different areas. The downstairs, you have the clay cave and more. So how would you describe the atmosphere when someone first walks in as they start to walk through your space?
I just feel like it has an energy to it. I feel like a lot of people say that too, that it just has a good, positive vibe that's exciting. A lot of people will comment on how bright it is.
Yes.
It's so bright in here. Everything's
Clean.
really well lit and clean.
Clean and bright.
It's great.
Organized.
Yeah.
I told you the scissors. I'm like obsessed. I don't know why. That's the silliest thing. But
Well, we always joke around because our last name is Shorr, and my brother was like, "Oh, you guys like to be organized. You're Shorganized." So we do feel like our space is very reflective of that.
yeah.
No, but I feel like there's just this ability when you walk in to feel like you can relax and get a chance to experience what's in front of you, whether that's viewing things or coming in to create something or meeting a group of friends here to create together. It just has a welcoming atmosphere. And we work really hard with our staff too to encourage everyone that's on our team to be that welcoming person. So you should feel that excitement of us being really happy that you're here and that we want you to feel that too.
Because let's face it, sometimes art is like foreboding, right? It's like, you have to be this mystic talent owner to be able to get anything out of art. But you don't. That's what is kind of in people's heads. So we want a place where you can come in and just feel relaxed and just know you can have a really good time. And as she was saying, we try to really make sure our staff invites everybody in and works with them. So
You literally answered my next question. So what do you think sets Curio apart from other shops or spaces in the region?
Yeah, I think kind of piggybacking right off of what you were saying too, I feel like our space is very approachable. So you can, come in and you can have little kids and have something that's entertaining for an afternoon for them, and they can create something small or at their level. You can come in with friends and create that's more of a experience that maybe is more in cost because it's longer and more technique involved. But I think the welcoming environment and the ability to truly welcome all levels and all learners has been really impactful for our space, especially adding in the ceramics. There's not a lot of spaces that have pottery wheels and the ability to have wet clay. So I feel like as we've grown, we've been able to kind of offer more and have this well-rounded kind of like little mini art center in Zillionople that's encompassing of all walks of life.
Yeah, having the clay wheels and those classes is so unique. And it's interesting to me too, because it's one of those things where you're like, oh, I really want to do that. And anyone probably thinks they could just sit down. But to your point, Jason, when we were talking earlier, you said it takes a lot of time to really understand it. And you guys have done a really good job of making sure that when your instructors are coming in here and spending time with people, that they know what they're talking about. And that's huge. You have people who this is their passion. And whenever you're dealing with people who are passionate about what they do, it's the same with De La Terra, right? You can tell that there's so much passion in that building. And it's the same here. I'm actually a little ashamed of myself. I hadn't walked in here, to be perfectly honest, before we had spoken about doing this. So, but I'm glad I'm here now, and I already have my first plan of what I'm painting. I'm going to start with painting a plate, and I have a quote I want to put on it. And so I'm really excited about that. So that distinct atmosphere, yes.
I think one of the things is just the foundation of where we started from. So we both have an art education background, and everyone that we have working for us is either like a certified art teacher or an art student or somebody
an artist
themselves. And we, between us having the years we have in public education, created this place with art education in mind, not just a crafty sort of thing. And we'll get into that more when we talk about business, but we were, we're art educators who decided this is what we love. Obviously I can't get enough of it. I teach all day, then I come here and then, so, and more to come. So,
yeah, that's exciting though. That's so exciting. What's your favorite corner or detail or feature in the space that feels most to each of you?
Yeah, I was interested in what your favorite spot was.
I don't know. I like it over here where all of our.
I was gonna say is mine.
We did such a good job organizing it.
It's so organized. Even the folders that has like the little faces cut out.
Yeah.
And they're in the middle, and then the two in the ends just have the rectangles. Yes.
Well, we're curating things even when we're just putting the materials out, and that doesn't mean it doesn't get messy in here and crazy, especially with our tiny artist class with 2-year-olds.
I'm sure.
and things get that way, but we, the whole aesthetic, we really work on it looking nice, even all the way down to how we put the materials there. So, yeah.
Well, for kids, the color is so important because that like kind of draws them in. But I think the organization as well, like if a kid is obsessed with markers, like I saw that basket of highlighters over there. And if I was a kid, I'd be like, oh, I want that basket of highlighters. I want that glitter. Where's the glue? I would just be going for the glue and the glitter and the highlighters. So I don't know. So you both love that's right there. This bright.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite. That's always when we did virtual classes over COVID. That was always when we would tune in. The kids would be like, "Oh my gosh, look at that wall behind you! It's amazing! Of those art supplies."
Or my classes for Seneca Valley Academy of Choice when I would do the cyber courses or do videos for my cyber students. That's kind of the place.
So just to throw this in here, since you brought it up, whenever you were teaching those virtual classes, were the kids kind of just using whatever materials they had at home and you were like, hey, can you find some of this stuff? Or how did you guys?
Yeah, we did. Gosh, that was well before COVID. We had thoughts of like, we we should really like up our online game and do like some YouTube videos and some like
Yeah.
virtual art classes. And then everything shut down and we were like, we should start that right now. That's a great idea and we should do it. So we bounced in between, like we did some Facebook Live times where we walked through projects and kind of gave like a week in advance of like, this is what we're going to use. You can use anything you want to at home, but then kind of let the public follow along for free and do that with anything they had at home. That was a fun way to stay entertained.
And we did them with our daughter. You did the videos, but our children were in on them. So it really made it nice for the kids at home to see like another child doing it. And we could switch out between the two of them, one being 3 years older than the other.
And they always did it differently than I did, which really showed how well-rounded everybody's artwork and projects can be.
Yeah.
And then we started doing virtual birthday parties, which was really neat. You could come
Oh,
to
cool.
Curio and you could pick up, we would put it outside so everything was contact free, and you could pick up all of your to-go containers with the paintings, and then parents were actually taking the kits and then dropping them off at kids' houses with like their little cupcake or cake, their dessert that they would celebrate with, and they all had a Zoom link, and we celebrated their birthday and painted together, and it was really neat. Really cool experience.
That was a very difficult time.
Yeah.
Obviously, everyone had that going through COVID, and it's one of the things that, pushed us, and we survived, and
Yes.
it was a blessing.
Yeah.
Well, art is obviously something that you both know is something that is therapeutic. It can be very therapeutic, right? And healing, and also, you're expressing yourself. And for kids, that's so important, because I'm sure a lot of kids were like, wait, why can't I see my friends? That not understanding. I don't have kids. I mean, you both have two daughters. That's okay for me to say.
Yeah.
4 altogether.
4.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, you do? Okay, amazing. So, when you're parents, you kind of understand that a little bit more, and you're in the arena of parenthood and having those conversations. So I really commend you for doing that. And again, when you're passionate about something, you're like, we've got to keep this going. Like, what all can we do?
It was just great to see that there was a need for that. I think some of the tiny positives of it was that people had time to be at home and do something that they wouldn't normally do. So it was kind of this little bit of time where people started to enjoy a hobby more in the art world than they normally would, I think, than before, if they didn't have that time of just being at home.
Yeah, but I don't know if I heard of any place doing those like virtual birthday party things.
Thanks.
That's so
awesome.
unique.
It
Yeah,
was a
that's
great
really
experience.
cool.
But then we did do, Jason's taught cyber at Seneca for many years now. So he's been in and recorded different lessons. And I think for that, you give them a list of what they need so that they're prepared ahead of time.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's a video they watch as part of the curriculum of that particular class. So, yeah.
So we did talk a little bit about this space and what it's been before this, because downstairs in the clay cave, you have your kiln, and it's actually in what used to be, was it a walk-in cooler for what was it? Was it a deli or?
And this, it's funny. This happens in Zealy. There's a never ending, parade of people that like to tell you what your building was, which is great.
Yeah.
And we can go back to like, it was a bar. Your dad said it was like Guy's Bar. It was a beauty shop. It was a place called Eye Candy, which was a boutique, one of the first here. It was a post office, I believe. I heard that. I know I've seen pictures, old black and white pictures, and it was a diner. And a restaurant, because it was it the pizza? This was Spring and Main combined. It was like a pizza place.
This was always kind of its own thing.
Okay.
Like Spring and Main would have been where.
Okay. So yeah, downstairs is a walk-in freezer or a walk-in cooler that we've converted into where the kiln can be, and storage, and
yeah, it's great because we can run the kiln and it can be hot without people touching it. So it's great. It's worked out really well.
Yeah, it's cool down there, but it is. People are so fascinated with that, right? They're like, what did this used to be? And you're like, well, I'll tell you what it is right now,
A lot of people think that is the kiln itself. Like people will be like, is this the kiln?
Like,
I'm like,
it's that big.
that would take us a very long time to fill it, but it is not the kiln. I'm sure there are
Probably-
some that big, but not
probably
here.
drain all the resources of Zelienople.
Totally.
Or like the power. They'd be like, does it take a lot of power to run a kiln? I don't know anything about a kiln. So
Yeah, well,
one day I'm going to take a pottery class. I'm starting with painting first.
I mean, yes, it does, but it's also, they've made them so efficient now, and they're so insulated. I mean, it gets, like I tell the kids, it's hot as lava in there, but you would never know because of how just the materials it's made out of. Kilns are super simply made. They're just fire brick metal elements like you would have almost in a oven and just some metal around it. I mean,
yeah.
But yeah, it's that fire brick that really insulates it and gets it to be able to be really hot, and it takes a long time to cool off.
Okay, so when you were building it, when this place was, you were building it before you opened, was there that moment where you're like, yes?
Start with about Eric visiting us.
Oh yeah. So we were talking about, the question that you had asked of like, was there a point in time where we're like, yeah, this is it? And I was like, I actually think it's right now, but I didn't think that way back when we first started.
Wow.
So, we were, on this tiny building on the side street, and in my brain, we were never going to move from there. This was perfect. It was all we needed. It was a great, start onto Main Street. Wasn't quite Main Street. It was back a little bit, but that's okay. Not too far. People could walk. And then we were actually finding that it was harder than we thought to like convince people like it's only 35 steps up to our, remember we used to put that on the sign?
Yeah.
Only
We are
30
legit.
steps up
Yeah.
here.
Like,
We really do have cool stuff. We'd have to put like very enticing things on our sandwich boards so people would walk up. But I was working and Eric Rice stopped in. And I can't remember if it's the first building he purchased in Zillionople, but he said that he had purchased this building and he was going to be renovating it. And he really thought that our space would be a really good fit for the building and this specific area. And he wanted to know if we wanted to take a look at it. And we were like,
No way.
no,
Cannot do it.
no, I think it'll be like too expensive. And, I don't know. I think we're good right here. And I don't know how maybe he was like, just take a look and see what you think. So we did come in here and we ended up coming back, I think 3 or 5 times with different people,
as we do.
with different people.
right.
And your father
Now
said,
we'll have my dad look at it. Now we'll have this person look at it.
and your dad looked at me and he said, I think you're crazy if you don't do this. And I was like, really? Like, yeah. And that was it. We were like, yeah, let's do it. And Eric and, Rice Bigger, they've owned, I think, the whole block now. And they've done great things in Zillionople with restoring the buildings, giving them that modern look, and still having a feeling of the old-fashioned look. So yeah, and yeah, we started the process here, but really they kind of like partially built the building around us as we were in here, which was crazy. Yeah. We had things happen like when they were renovating Spring and Main, before it was Spring and Main, they were slamming something with it. Not Eric Rice.
Yeah, their team.
The team that they hired, the demolition team.
Yes.
They came in. They're not from Zillionople. They were just hired to come in and destroy everything. And as they did, they, came through the wall in the gallery. We had artwork out there. There was just so many things that happened, including having the entire front of the building ripped off because it had this really funky entrance that was neat, but didn't really capitalize on space. So they literally built a temporary wall inside and ripped the front of the building off.
Whoa.
And we had to have people come down the alley and enter from the back for months.
Yeah.
While they rebuilt the front.
Which you can't even tell now. It looks like it was always meant to be like that. You would never know.
There's a lot of curveballs, and how are we going to make this look, and how are we going to change this, and we get told a lot like, you guys really change things all the time, which is true, but also we've had to kind of do that as things change around us.
Yeah, and as things have grown, which has been a huge blessing.
And what's really cool that I love, just a simple thing, is like you have this curtain here, right? That you can separate this room from out there. Just things like that. It just, I don't know. Well, I love this space.
There was a whole nother room here too. Like,
yes, that's right. You did say that.
There was a whole nother room, and one day as I was looking around, as we were thinking, gosh, we're starting to need more space.
It was probably after I had that giant birthday party that I was like, I don't know how we fit everybody in here, but we did.
I looked and was like, hey, those walls don't go all the way to the ceiling. So we were like, hey, Eric, can we like rip these walls down? He's like, go for it. So
there you are.
The walls came down. We added more flooring, painted the ceiling, and now this room is much bigger. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's great. It's got a good flow. Like you said, there's a nice flow in here. And you need those people. I love that you have family members who were like, hey, yes, like believing in you. We all need those people.
Yeah, yeah.
Because sometimes it is just that person that's like, why are you being so stupid? Why don't you just like do it? Because yes, you're very talented. And it's funny when you talk about people walking off of Main Street. I think that is something about Zilly. People have gotten a little bit more accustomed to that. They've done a good job of doing the little alleyways. I know a little farther down there's another little boutique shop, and they've got that new thing down there.
Yeah.
So people are getting more accustomed to coming off of it, but that's true. You know, you want to just walk down Main and you think that's the
and at that point it was really like it was Shoe Brew was in their original location. We were there. Boutique 16063 was like down by Shoe Brew.
Yeah, it just moved.
Yeah, and there wasn't a lot of shopping and restaurants and stuff yet to draw people into walking the entirety of Main Street and the side streets. I think now it's much more like, let's go explore every part of it because there's cool places everywhere.
In 8 to 10 years, that's what's happened to Zelienople. The revitalization has been huge because when we were looking before we ever got that space in so many places. The Main Street was a lot of financial kind of things and insurance and non-retail. Let's just say non-retail. A lot of non-retail and a lot of buildings that weren't even open. And with a lot of work from the borough and the business association and everything, it's just, it's amazing.
Yes, it's beautiful. And when you're looking to curate pieces, how do you decide? Right now, it makes sense to me when I walk in. I look to the left. You've got a lot of fall themed items. You have a lot of things for Christmas and Halloween. It's like I want to paint all of these things. I want to paint a tree. I want to paint a pumpkin. But that makes sense, right? But when it comes to the other things, how do you decide what goes where and what you're putting out at any given time?
When we first started, we just really started to go to like different I Made It markets and handmade arcades and tried to kind of scour social media and see who had things that we felt like were a good fit. We tried to go to as many as we could in person and kind of take a look at their product. We wanted something that was definitely kind of at the peak at what someone was creating, because there's a lot of makers that, if you look at their 5 years of making, the first pieces they make are so different from where they've landed with what they find, their process works well with. So we were looking for like a whole package of something that was really well presented. They had a good social media presence, and a lot of our people are really locally in Pittsburgh area. But yeah, we kind of started from there and then branched off. It's hard because we were like, we'll use this person for soap, even though there's many, many people that make amazing soaps. We were trying to, kind of stick with one avenue for different things so we weren't overrun with too many.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you've got your Pittsburgh mom mug right there.
Oh, yeah.
That wide handle, nice big.
You can have lots of coffee or chili, or it's like
it's
so
Pittsburgh.
versatile.
That's Pittsburgh Pottery out of Carnegie, and I think we still are the only place that carries their work exclusively.
Yeah, and especially north of the city.
Yeah,
they do a lot of festivals and Picklesburg and all kinds of great stuff.
That's a good mom.
So.
That's a good mom. I'm looking at them. You're like, thank you. I am actually. You should like flip your hair. Take another sip out of there. What is in there? Is it wine, Lauren? Maybe. So obviously you can't pick like a favorite artist or piece. That would be so hard to do. I mean, I had asked Fior this at the restaurant. I was like, what's your favorite burger? Like, what's your favorite thing that you've curated? So maybe it's that for both of you. What is something that you've curated, and even if it's outside of the space, that just was really so meaningful to you that still impacts you as an artist, as artists?
Well, the space has changed so much, right? We went from having, before the clay cave downstairs, it was all glass cabinets of vintage toys. It was such a neat spot down there. And we still have people that come in that are like, where did the toys go?
Yeah.
Well, we just decided, we wanted to make everything art instead of grasping at so many different things.
Well, we were looking for a space to rent to do ceramics. And then you were like, wait a minute. We should move the toys out of here that all of it's art and do it in the basement.
Why are we trying to rent somewhere else for ceramics when we have an art
Isn't that crazy when your head goes and it explodes? You're like, my head just exploded.
It was right in front of us the
That's
whole
the same
time.
as when we were like, how can we make this room bigger? Can we build out here? No, let's just tear down some walls. So now Now I'm forgetting where we went from. Oh, so then upstairs, I think my favorite thing was upstairs. We had turned the front into a working gallery that also had retail and artisan goods that were on pedestals that we worked in between all the art. And it was really neat. But again, same with the toys. It just got to be a thing where, you know, what are we trying to use our space for? And it was getting hard to, even though we have everything on wheels, we were wheeling everything back. So when we had an art opening reception, that kind of was just a gallery in the front. And it looked great and it worked well, but it was hard to do. And, you know, right before the art opening, I'm all sweaty and dragging stuff back here, trying to hurry up and turn it. We were like a transformer here, turning things into other things and manipulating our space as we went. And we just realized that the front needed to be a space where people could come in and work. And as we would use this as classes and downstairs with the clay.
So we're not curating as much as we were in the past, at least in this space.
Right. Well, we love that. That one of our favorite
Ooh,
things.
Ding ding.
One of our favorite things was is hanging art shows together. Like, we loved that. Yeah. So that was probably that we really loved doing that and working with the artists. So
some people, you know, talk about how they could never go into business with their spouse. But it truly is our favorite thing is talking about, our kids will tell you that we talk about curio and art galleries at nauseum. But our favorite thing was when the artists would bring in their work and we would sit here and for hours decide like what piece should go where, how we should put it, what artisan pieces could go on a pedestal in front of it to pull out different colors from the painting.
Goes back to the shorganizing.
Yes, definitely.
Shorganize.
The shorganizing.
Right.
Our first date was a Jonathan Borowski lecture at the Carnegie Museum of Art.
Oh my gosh. I love that.
An artist
insert art nerd mug.
Right, exactly.
That's great.
Here's this mug. You can purchase it in the front.
And then we got engaged at the Carnegie Museum of Art. And I made a sculpture that there's a lot of red tape to get through it, but I made a sculpture of a person down on their knee with their hand up, and we had the museum kind of shuffle it in and have the ring ready when we walked through the museum, and then proposed to her there.
What?
Then,
Are you kidding me right now?
It was pretty neat. So
this is so wild. I feel like I'm on this journey now of finding married couples who have sort of this like, I don't know, simpatico, like yin and yang sort of thing happening. I don't know. There's so many things going on in my brain right now. It keeps happening. It was the same when I did the Hobnob Theater episode with Ken and Liz. Same thing.
Yeah, it's really interesting because there's definitely days where I'm like, I'm losing it. I'm so stressed about everything that there is happening. And you're like, it's good. It'll all work out. And then you'll have days where it's flip-flopped and we really do balance each other out in the best way, which is fantastic.
It's perfect. So when you are teaching or sharing art with others, what medium or style kind of lights both of you up the most?
You mean like what we create ourselves? So I do a lot of painting. Painting is my thing. I love all kinds of art, but my thing is acrylic painting, and I do a lot of stuff that formerly I did work that was based on anatomy and, even exhibited with the Bodies exhibit, and both in Harrisburg and here in Pittsburgh, and stuff down at the McGowan Institute of Regenerative Medicine. So it's very into medicine and science and anatomy, and then kind of taken some of that and worked it in a little bit into the newer work I do is more based on nostalgia and 80s toys and fun stuff. So I'm bringing my toys back into that. But I haven't painted in a while. It's been about a year since
you had a show. Yeah. So you were really busy painting before that. I feel like he does a much better job of making time to make art than I do. So the front of our home has turned from formal living room that no one really sat in to our studio spaces. So we have opposite ends of the room that each have our easels and our, painting areas. And I always find that mine really doesn't have a lot going on, but yours does. Yours is always kind of with something new happening. Even though you haven't painted, you've been playing around with some collage work lately. True. So, do
you like teaching painting though? Like, is that something that you had said? We had talked a little bit about. Was it a class that you taught that was? Because I brought up mental health a little bit, which obviously is a little underlined for the podcast. And you had brought up a class that you used to teach.
Oh, so here at Curio, we do a class called neurographic art. And I teach, it's just a very free-flowing kind of automatic drawing type thing that just kind of deals with the subconscious, allows you to focus on an issue that you kind of bring out through your subconscious. And then we do some painting, watercolor painting into it. So yeah, I still teach that. It's kind of, it happens every once in a while. Did we do that with the library?
Yeah.
And in conjunction with the library, we did a class with that as well. It's just something that we do occasionally, a few times a year.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to get another one of those back up on the books. But it's fun. It doesn't take like a certain skill to reproduce something to make it look just like it. It's just what you create. And we focus a lot on that and talk about, the neurons in your brain and how they're wired and how art can just kind of relax, bring down cortisol levels. And depending, it can just be something that's fun that you just do, or it can really work in an art therapy way to deal with trauma and issues that you can start to focus that into your art.
Recovery from grief, lots of different ways that it can be helpful.
I suggested this place to a friend who recently lost his mother and had auditioned for a show and wasn't cast. And he was like, I need to. And I said, you need to step outside of your comfort zone a little bit. And you're so artistic. And he's done a lot of painting on sets for me. And I said, you need to go to Curio. You need to look at their website and see if there's something that speaks to you. I'm like, you should take a pottery class or something. He's like, oh my gosh, that's such a great idea. Yeah. So I think I need to bring him when I come and paint my plate.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, pottery is fantastic for that.
Yeah.
There's something about the wheel and the clay just spinning in that spot and you engaging, you taking your body and working with a material that, is so tactile.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, really find that that's a great outlet.
Yes. So. When you teach, so I'm going off my thing a little bit here, but I just thought of this. So when someone comes to a pottery class for the first one, what would you typically start with? Would you start with like a bowl, or is there a process of when you're learning pottery and learning the wheel, where would be the best place to start with that?
Yeah, Jason and I both, have taken ceramics classes. I think I took more than you did in college. But we're not the ceramic instructors. We have a couple of different people that come in for that. But if you've never, ever, ever used the wheel before, a lot of the time is spent actually trying to get the clay so that it's centered, so that you can make something out of it that doesn't want to collapse right away. Because when it's spinning, you have to make it so that it's nice and centered. So when you're trying to bring the sides up higher, it has an evenness to it that you can do that consistently with. So most of the time when people come to our 2-hour class just to try it, it's some kind of like cylindrical shape, whether it's tall or short or vasey or bowlish, any of those shapes are fine. So, you kind of get a feel for it right away as to how much power how much of your own muscle you have to put into. You think of the clay as being really easy to manipulate, but sometimes you have to remember that you're telling the clay what to do instead of it telling you. So.
Yeah. And how fast does it spin? Is there or does it?
You have almost like an acceleration pedal, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you can adjust it.
I
don't know.
I was curious. Yeah, I was just curious. I was a random, that's how my brain works. I'm like, I wonder how fast the wheel goes.
And then that's our give it a whirl class where you just give that
I
just
looked at that class actually.
And then once you try that, if you're like, I think this is a thing for me, we have 4-week classes, and then we are starting open times that once you have kind of graduated to know how to use the space well and safely and everything, then you can come back and purchase clay and work on our wheels and have someone there not instructing you, but there to help out.
Yeah, in case you have some questions or need a little bit of guidance.
But most people don't have, the opportunity to have a potter's wheel and a kiln in their home.
Well,
so
a kiln is that's a thing you have to have installed, right? It has to be a thing. Yes. Do you remember a moment with a student or visitor that reminded you of why you do this?
Constantly, right?
Yeah.
Gosh, I think back to the one student we had whose father was wounded in the military and wanted to make the flag, and we worked with him. It wasn't a class. We just privately worked with him and his mom to to make this flag. Then he had his handprint on it and everything. And so in the spot that we had, you had to go downstairs to get into this tiny little, I don't even know how we made it into a room, but it was our
So
classroom. And it was very, you'd get down these narrow stairs and get around.
One time it was raining really hard and all the water was coming through the door and the kids were like, it's raining in the studio.
Yeah. Just keep going.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's all right. It's just water.
But when the father came in, the son wanted to show him this piece in the basement. And we were like, well, we have to take it upstairs. And the father had, he had a difficult time getting down the stairs, but he was like, no, I'm going to go down the stairs. And it was just this very inspirational sort of thing that meant so much to him to get down to see his son's work, which then his son did. And that was years ago. And there's been countless since then.
Yeah. There's just so many. I always say that my favorite thing is getting a chance to see any of our artists be excited about what they create. Or one of my other favorite things is showing a group of students, or whether they're kids or adults. Kids give a better reaction than adults seem to sometimes, but showing them a new technique that they haven't seen before, and they're like, oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yes.
Adults are
magic.
like, yes, that's neat, but they're not quite like, oh my gosh, like kids are. So that excitement, just seeing people be excited is so powerful and gives me so much joy to continue to wake up and want to do it over and over and over again. And even that kind of leads into connecting people with that perfect piece of art, connecting people with that magnet that you like, that you're going to stick somewhere in your home that brings you joy, like that kind of magical moment of just bringing something to the forefront of people's memories that they can continue to enjoy and share.
Recently, when this has happened a few times, so it's very general speaking of a few students, but we'll have somebody whose parents bring them and like, well, we're just going to sit out here because this child doesn't do well and they're,
a little nervous,
doesn't
know
or upset.
anyone.
And then, after a few minutes, the kid's like, go away. And the parent then is bringing them back and saying, this opened up everything to them. They were so scared before and didn't know, and this has even affected them at school now and different things. And that's like amazing. Right?
Yeah,
that's like,
absolutely.
It's not just, so that transcends the art. It's not, at that point, it's not about the art. It's about growing, and it's about, sounds cheesy, but it's about like life, and it just takes them somewhere else. And art was the vehicle to help get them there. So
and the cool thing about art too, and what you'd said about the class, that one class that we were talking about, is that when they're coming in here and they're creating something that it's like, there's no mistakes in a way, I think sometimes in art, especially when it's with kids, if you're teaching them something that's just like, hey, you can make that unicorn blue, and there's things like that. I think sometimes as a kid, oftentimes you feel like you have to do things a certain way, but when it comes to art, you can just be so creative and let things out. There's a movie. Did you see the movie? I think it's just came out recently. It is about that little girl that has all those doodles. And then they come to life.
I was just saying to our one daughter, we should watch that sketch or something.
Yes.
I don't know.
And it just makes me like, and it does that. It brings all these kids together, and this little girl, I don't know the storyline at all. All I remember is seeing the video, and they're on a school bus, and the bus stops, and then this big blue like creature's arm comes up, and you hear this like da, 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 noise, and they're all like, what's that? And she's like, that's my drawing. And it's just so cute. I don't know, this place makes me feel,
And going to that, one of the things about art is there can be mistakes in art. There can be failures, and that's okay. It's good to make a mistake, and sometimes that mistake then is like, whoa, that just opened this door to somewhere completely different. And even though it's not following this path, this trajectory, now it's taken on a new life. So
thank you for
because
I'm like, I don't know, I don't teach art. I'm just like, whatever.
Like when you see a piece of abstract art and you think anyone can do that, and then if you really try, you cannot. It's amazing. So there can be mistakes, but those mistakes can lead to something better. Those failures can push you to something beyond. And then when you're a child and you're gluing and putting things down, and it could come out looking like totally not what you wanted it to be, but the process of making, the experience of doing, the touching, even the techniques that you're learning along the way, are vital.
Thank you for that. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're better spoken than I am on that. I was like, I don't know. I feel like you can just be like, whatever.
Well, and I feel like
And you're like, actually.
I feel like I talk to a lot of adults about having the opportunity to be able to create and trying to have adults remove themselves from the idea of perfection. Because I do feel like, I mean, a lot of people will come in and they'll do, like a fun girls' night or a paint and sip, and those are always a really good time for sure. But talking to a lot of adults, they all seem to have a moment where like someone told them that they're not good at art, or something like scarring happened that they're like, well, I'm not good at art, I can't do that. And I almost feel like it's like this little healing moment of like, no, you can. It's okay. You can be excited about what you make, even though it doesn't look like mine. And coming in with the mindset that, we're two people that have grown up with art and we practice it daily. So someone coming in that hasn't really done art before, you can't go to a music lesson and think you're going to play an awesome song on the guitar the first time you come.
Yeah, no.
It is, sometimes people forget that it's a practiced and learned thing. So I think we do a great job, and our staff does a great job of just really welcoming people where they're at and making it exciting for everyone, whether or not you've been scarred by that bad art moment or
Right.
art critique somewhere along the line. But
Great-
bringing that healing back into
Yeah.
art,
Great things take time. You saw that downstairs that we have up. Yeah, great things.
Love it.
Take
That was
time.
my favorite thing. I walked down. I was like, oh my
And
gosh.
sometimes we forget that everything now is like, boom, so instant. And if it isn't, then AI will just do it for you. So now, like, you just have to try it and do it. And if you're coming out for a paint and sip on a girls' night out, or, a dad's night doing something, and you only do that once every 4 or 5 months, like, don't expect that you are going to create a masterpiece, and that's okay.
You're not going to have a showing.
Right. Enjoy it. And then that's right. Exactly. Don't put yourself down. Don't get upset.
Yeah, we're here to have you have fun and enjoy what you're learning and creating.
Yes. All right. So what's the soundtrack to Curio?
Well, we were talking about this. I don't know what did you go ahead? You came up with.
I said, I'm like, I don't know. I just feel like when I think about it is funny because even when we walk in here, depending on who was working, everyone kind of like picks different music to what they like. So you might catch some different genres of music.
There's
when
jazz
you come
today
in.
for
There was
Skylar.
jazz today. There was
Sometimes-
jazz. There was a little bit of Frank Sinatra. I loved
Sometimes
it.
some country, sometimes some classic rock.
Okay.
But
But we always joke around that like anytime we're doing anything, like if we're here working and we're closed, or if we're at home and doing a project, like we're always in the like Goo Goo Dolls, Eve 6, Better Than Ezra, Third Eye Blind, like that. I'm like, I think that would be our soundtrack of Curio.
Everybody
that's
gets
our
the applause.
There we go.
There's your applause.
that's our love, I guess, is that that genre
Right.
of music there.
Yeah, I love that. That's perfect. So what has been the most rewarding part of this journey so far? And that's a hard question to answer.
I don't know. I think it goes back to the students.
Yeah.
Going back to, making accomplishments with them, seeing kids who we had when they were like, 6
gosh,
years
so
old,
little.
and
Yeah.
now are grown up. I've had
Oh,
a
I
student
love that.
I remember a student that was like, 10 years old, and now they've graduated high school and are going to college, and they were at Curio and now they're at college. It's like amazing. So we've been here that long. To think that you think about things from your childhood, and I still recall stuff, and my daughter's like, oh my gosh, Dad, you sound so old. And I'm like, well, we used
Because
to
you
do
always
this.
talk about how you had to walk uphill both ways to school.
I did, though.
I did in college.
really
I did in college for sure. Anyways,
Anyone
yeah.
from Brentwood in the South Hills of Pittsburgh knows. But
It was a hill in the middle between my house and the campus.
yeah, but we are now that thing that someday someone will talk about and say, when I was a kid, there was this place. If we're lucky, they'll say, I was a kid, there was this place called Curio, and wow, we had some really good times there, and we made this and that. And so, that's our legacy, and that's what we want to have. We are a part of some memories of people in the community, and I think that's really powerful.
It
Yeah.
is.
Think about it.
That's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
special.
That's absolutely what I would say. That the separate thing I was thinking about whenever I was thinking about this question was just, for me personally, making the decision to leave my teaching job and being here full time
That's right.
has allowed me to, put our kids on the bus every morning
Yeah.
and be just really more engaged with everything that's happening in their normal day to day.
Of course.
It's a lot of work running our business, but the flexibility it's given me has helped me to be more present with them. So even though
That was tough.
Yeah.
When you're like, hey, I think I'm going to leave this great job that you prayed for, worked for, got, and we're like, yeah. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
You know, what are we?
Yes.
But at the same time, we were both running Curio while teaching full time with a family. We weren't open enough, and you know,
that kind of
something had to give.
That came along with moving to Main Street, because when we first started, we were opening in most evenings and like a Saturday, and we're like, well, if we make the jump to Main Street, we're going to need like regular hours that people are able to, you know, depend upon and come in more frequently. And as we looked into somebody possibly being hired for that position, I couldn't help but be like, well, I mean, like, I'd like to be the person doing that. I don't know.
You're like, that could be me.
Yeah, I think that sounds pretty
Wait
awesome.
a second. Well, and when you have something that is almost becomes your identity, you know, I taught for a little over 10 years. And when I left that fitness teaching, I realized like, whoa, that was my identity. And now I have no idea who I am or what I'm doing with my life.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
Right?
well, yeah, I am doing this now. Yes, of course. But there was a big dip, you know, in so many things. I was even talking to Richie about this the other day at the restaurant. I said, when I worked here last time, I was like, I was a hot mess. I was a mess. And I feel so grateful to be where I'm at now. But yeah, to me, it is like an artistic thing. So I don't know. I just commend you both, like being a couple and like doing that, supporting each other. That's just so cool. But also recognizing that, you know, like we have kids, we've got this, there's this balance. There's like, I can put them on the bus. There's all these positives, like that you saw all of these positive things. So it's saying all these positive things. What was the most challenging? You know, what do you think it was, that decision possibly?
Yeah, I would say that decision was the most challenging to try to, I feel like no matter how much we weighed the pros and cons, part of it on paper just really wasn't working. It didn't make sense. You know, financially, it wasn't like, oh, then you can work at Curio and you'll make your teaching salary, because that's not at all what is still even happening. But it just felt very God-led for us to make that decision, and it brought peace. And we do talk about how we're like, it doesn't really make sense how we're like doing everything that we're doing financially, but it's always been like just kind of 1 month in front of each other. Just, I don't even want to say trying harder, but just kind of continuing to put forth what we've built, and, you know, hope that the community continues to enjoy it and continues to be supportive. And, that was definitely my biggest, scariest moment. I know it was for you too.
Yeah,
I had more excitement because I was going to be the one being here. You had all the fear, I think.
You're like, I can walk the kids to the bus in my robe with my Pittsburgh Mom coffee mug, and you're going to be at work. No, I'm just kidding.
The other thing, that the other big challenge that I will say even plagues us till today, literally today, you spend hours working, is just the fact that this is a business, right? So I know art education. I have taught in Butler County for 32 years. I've taught art ed. You taught in Butler School District for years.
10 years.
10 years.
Were you at the
Butler.
high school or the intermediate?
I was at the elementary. I had K through 6.
Okay, that's right. My brain was trying to remember.
Yeah, and I had Montauk for my first years out of college, and then Seneca Valley. So we know that. So that's great. Like, I can teach a class. I can engage children. She can handle a classroom like someone I've never seen before. Amazing work you do. But you got to run a business. I don't know what that looks like. You know, I was the guy who started it all, and I was like, oh, we got to get these taxes paid, and this is happening. But then when you left, you took it over, and we didn't even realize how much business really is with content and just every little thing.
Well, and you have a website.
Yeah, website. You know, just
A
deciding.
good website.
Thank you.
It's good.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
really
you.
good.
Yeah, I always joke around that I'm like, well, a little scary that I'm in charge of like IT and everything, because I don't really know.
We have to give John. We have to give John Cohen. John
he
Cohen
helped us.
started us with our website and set it up at the beginning, but then we just kind of
He
took
like
it
built
over.
it, and then kind of did he show you how to?
Right, but that was before
Yeah.
we had the POS system we have now, point of sale system, and you had to kind of take it, and he helped a little bit. But
Yeah, there's
but
just
we
so
do
many
everything on our own.
nuances and so much to know. And
Yeah. So that's
It's
a huge
definitely been
challenge.
its own beast.
Yeah.
Well, it's a testament to both you, and it's also to anyone out there who might be thinking of doing something like this. It's like sometimes it's almost just start, right?
Right.
Just start
Yeah.
researching,
Yeah.
start
But-
talking about it, start asking questions.
But some of the people that maybe complain about businesses in the area that kind of take shots at things, it's like, you try it. This is not easy. The whole business
can't
side of it
imagine.
is mind blowing. I can't wrap my head around it most of the time. I'm amazed at what she's doing. And then, I think we're doing well. We don't have a business degree at all.
You do
so
now. I mean,
we're
right?
8 years in.
Yeah.
That's why we're pretty excited about that we survived this long and are doing well. So
Okay, so if Curio could speak for itself, what story would it tell the people of Zillionople? And
what story would it tell?
I see a children's book.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's almost like, gosh, I went right to the little engine that could, like resilient. The idea of resiliency.
Love that. Yes, love that.
resiliency and working hard.
The tortoise and the hare popped in my head from what you said
very
earlier.
much so.
Right.
Yeah.
That lesson of
Great
like,
analogy.
just slow and steady wins the race. Keep your wits about you, right? Be
just,
kind, be curious, be.
Yeah, the story of, that this is that we feel that people that are here are meant to be here for a reason, whether that's connection with friends or family, or to, just take time to be with their own selves, and to, whether that's healing, whether that's celebrating. We've just seen so many different groupings of people come through and have wonderful experiences. And I think that's what really breathes the life into the space, is just this, it does seem weird being here and everything's silent, because that's not the heartbeat of it.
Yeah. But you can
Mhm.
feel like that it's alive.
Yeah,
Like
it's ready for you.
Yeah,
it's
it's yeah, definitely. Okay, so we're looking ahead. So, the next episode is, you're going to give a little teaser to what our next episode is, but we don't want to give away too much. But the Fine Art Gallery, what would you like to say?
Well, I guess we could say that, as we had toys in the basement and the toys went away and it focused on art, and we had art exhibits and art receptions in the front, and we've taken that away to allow more art making. Curio is community art making. Everybody can come. Everyone can be here. We welcome everybody, and we just love making art with everyone. But I still have, and I know you do too, but I just have this need, this passion to show art to people. And we're working on a new adventure to share more art with the community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's exciting.
Yeah, it's terrifying and exciting.
Oh,
we can
hey, I don't think that anything worth doing is ever easy.
Yeah.
And if it's not terrifying, is it really something that you want to do?
Right.
Because you have to be willing to have those days where you're getting up earlier than you really want to, and the nights where you're staying up later than you want to, and having to, at the last minute, maybe change something around, or also just surrendering and trusting, like, okay, everything's okay.
Yeah.
Everything's all right. Here we go. It's like that top of the roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
When you get to the top and you're like, I don't want to be on this.
Many days in a row, though, you're like stuck there sometimes. Now, sometimes our kids will be like, I'm sorry that you have so much work to do. And I'm like, but I love it. Like, it is. That's what we talk about all the time, because that's it's hard to kind of separate. As you said, it becomes your identity. Like, it very much is wrapped into everything that we are. Our perfect date night is going somewhere for dinner, and then
Delaterra,
it is. It's Delaterra.
Well,
It's always
duh.
Delaterra.
I mean,
We were
where
like,
should we go?
Let's try a new place. No, it's not going to be as good. We should.
But you know what? I should point out as well too that we exhibit work at Burgers. So
Yes.
Burgers in Zillionople, there is an outlet for us to get some artwork out there. And we have artwork that we put up by local artists that kind of fit the vibe of the brewery aesthetic, and kind of, we look for art that goes there. So we've kind of had that for years with Fjord, ever since they opened that.
Yeah, it's a different avenue of bringing art to the community. And
Absolutely.
The exciting thing is that it did work all under one roof, and now as entities have grown, we're excited to separate them and let the growth continue in different ways.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're about to unleash something that Zelia's never had before.
Well, I'm excited
So-
for it.
Right?
I'm excited.
That's pretty
Yeah,
epic.
yeah,
That's
it
pretty
is.
epically said, but it's true.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Saturday, September 13th, right here on Main Street, a few doors down from Curio, in the building. It's the easiest one to remember, is the building with the iconic clock sticking out of the side of it from the 1920s. In that building is going to be a new art gallery that we have created, and it's called Icon Fine Art Gallery. And on September 13th, that Saturday evening between 5 and 8, we're having our first, what we call an art social. It's a art reception. We'll have the artists there. There's 6 artists exhibiting their work, and we'll have some refreshments. And it's just going to be a great art community night for Zelienople to check out something new. Yeah.
I'll be there.
So more on that later. But
Okay.
yeah.
Well, Lauren, Jason, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, this was awesome. I
Yeah.
can't wait for the next one.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes.
Thank you. Appreciate you taking the time and wanting to get this story about art and about what we do out to your listeners.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
We're just so excited. This is Zelienople's my hometown. I grew up here, and it just is so incredible to be a part of the community in Main Street in this way and give
Yeah.
back. And we're just thrilled and blessed that there's a need for what we do, and that we get to continue to keep doing it.
Yes. Well, I'm happy that you're here, and I can't wait for people to walk into the space who've never been here before and to fall in love. So, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you. Jason and Lauren, thank you so much for sharing your passion and dedication to creativity and education through Curio Art Studio and beyond. And a reminder, be sure to check out the grand opening of Icon Fine Art Gallery this Saturday, September 13th, from 5 to 8 p.m. in Zelienople, Pennsylvania. It's going to be an incredible evening filled with art, music, and energy. Congratulations again, and thank you for all that you're bringing to the community. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Alter Eagle. I'm your host, Laura Crago. Join me every Wednesday. That's right, every Wednesday for a new episode. And follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Alter Eagle Podcast. Until next time, stay safe, stay hopeful, stay kind.